You are about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating talk radio. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
Doctor, tell me true. What's a heart like mine supposed to do? Doctor,
and the doctor's in the house. 1-877 Doc Dali, 1-877 DOCDALI. All right, I really appreciate you guys listening in. Longtime listeners, new listeners. We really, really appreciate you. So there's a headline about the world's top medical schools. And I went to medical school. I actually went to 2 medical schools because in my final year, I apologize, I'm having some lighting issues here in the studio. In my final year of medical school, my 4th year, I wanted to marry my husband. So I went to school at the University of Nevada, Reno, and then my final year at UCLA. So I got to do all my rotations through UCLA, and I got to be on the UCLA campus and all that. And it was fantastic school. But my school, I don't care about the rankings. My school, the University of Nevada, Reno, best medical school. Now I'll tell you why in a second. Let's look at some of these rankings. All right, I teach students, and so many of the students that are pre-med, I talk to them about, what's a good medical school. A good medical school is where the professors care about you. If you don't understand a concept, they'll actually work with you. There's windows. You need to be able to have windows to be able to look outside, and you need to have access outside. You need to have access to the community. If you don't have a lot of community doctors that want to work with you, that's an issue too. So that means you want a school that has really good relationships and access to the hospital. So you want to have a community clinic where you can do your clinic work. You want to have hospitals that you have access to, and you want to be able to practice what you learn and grow. You also want to be able to access research. You want to be in places where they do some really, really good research. When you have a school where nobody wants to do research with you, that's a problem. So the rankings that are being reported here, this is from this is being reported by CEO World, and this is CEO World magazine. They give Harvard the top spot. Harvard, then comes Johns Hopkins, then NYU Grossman School of Medicine, then Perelman School of Medicine in Pennsylvania, and Columbia University Vagelos College of Physicians and Surgeons round out the top 5. Then comes Stanford, David Geffen School of Medicine, which is UCLA, Mayo Clinic, Alex School, Washington University, and then UCSF, number 10. Then they have Weill Cornell, University of Pittsburgh, Northwestern, Yale. Yale came in 14, Duke number 15, Vanderbilt 16. Vanderbilt's pretty high ranking, but Vanderbilt came in 16, University of Chicago 17, Icahn School of Medicine, Mount Sinai, University of Washington School of Medicine 19, and then Ann Arbor, University of Michigan 20. And, I'm looking at this list, and there's a lot of good schools, but I will continue to say that my school was the best. Why is my school the best? Well, one is we had a smaller class size. There were only 52 people in my class. That means we had better access to professors. We had more research opportunities. When we had to deliver babies, we had access. There weren't enough hands on deck. We complained as students and then later as residents because the hospitals were understaffed. We seemed to have to carry on more than I think we should have. We were doing 36-hour shifts, but I still attest that it was the best. My training was amazing because I got the access to patients. I got to do more and see more. And I know this not because I'm biased, because I really love my alma mater, but having gone to 2 medical schools, it was really, really interesting. So, even though I think some of the ways some of the attendings and the people in the hospital treated us being overworked and overtired and, yelling at us and smacking us with needles and things like that, even though that wasn't necessarily part of the actual school up in Reno, but that was how some of my training sadly went. You used to get in trouble if you didn't offer to jump in and say, all right, I'll deliver the baby, or I'll sew in the drain, if you didn't offer, you would get yelled at. If you just sat there quietly, you got in trouble. So that's how they made you step up and do. There's a code. If you're hiding in the bathroom, you're in trouble. But if you're there helping, you learned. And we never lost anybody. I didn't kill anybody because there was always people surrounding me, making sure I was doing the right thing. It was really, really good. I got to run a lot of codes. I got to put in Swan-Ganz catheters, do central lines, deliver babies. I got to do a lot of procedures. So now I'm at UCLA, and again, good school, but one of my first rotations was head and neck. And, the surgeon's about to sew in a drain. I think it was a thyroidectomy. And he goes, all right, now I have to do the drain. And, I'm already kind of PTSD'd from the previous training. And I'm like, I got it. I got the drain. And I went and started to grab the drain and start to do it. And the whole operating room went quiet. And they were like, what are you doing? I'm sewing in the drain. I was a brand new fourth year medical student. They go, students don't get to touch. No, you don't get to do that. I go, oh. They go, you could sew in a drain? I go, yeah. Oh. And so then I noticed that with UCLA, their students were really, really good on citing the studies and the research and being able to do rounds really well. But many of them hadn't delivered the babies that we did or did a lot of the procedures. And so I was able to be an ER doc after my first year of internship. Because I had done so many procedures, I had done so much, had so much patient access that I could manage stroke, heart attack, massive nose hemorrhages, amputations. And so my school, because I had that access, now I'm hearing and I'm seeing that a lot of the students now, depending on their class size, if they have almost 200 people in class or whatever, they don't get, many of them don't deliver one baby in medical school. Really? You haven't delivered a baby? Some of them, no pap smears. No, not until they become a resident. And I'm like, what's happening here? Well, I think there's just too many students, or there's now too many schools, and so there's only X number of patients, there's only X number of hospitals, and so the access gets so what makes a good medical school? I guess the medical school, the survival of the fittest, the one that attracts the better professors, the ones that has better access for you to have patients. One thing that made my school so amazing is we had a community clinic. We had a gyne clinic. We had an internal medicine clinic. There was a specialty clinic. And so when you were done with rounds, you immediately got your ass over to the clinic and saw patients. So I'm a third-year student. I'm a fourth-year student. I'm an intern. And you're taking care of patients. You're not sitting there, well, can I follow you? Can I watch? So, congratulations on these lists. And hopefully they are turning out the most amazing doctors. But if you didn't make the list, there's a chance your school was really top notch. 1-877 Doc Dolly, don't go away.
Hi, everyone. Super Bowl champ Vernon Davis here from Legal Help Center. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up, because we have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. You can find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. The call is free, the consultation is free, and you can speak with a live agent right now. So if you or someone you know were injured in an accident of any kind, call now to find out if you have a case and how much you could potentially get.
Thanks, Vernon. You heard it, folks. If you've been injured, call and find out how much you qualify for. Call 800-679-0800. That's 800-679-0800. 800-679-0800. Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states. Not available in California.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
We're back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So yesterday we were told that one of the high-rises in Manhattan's Midtown, we saw videos of the building looking like the beams were caving in and floor was starting to crumble. Very, very scary because some of these buildings are pretty old. And the 37-story high-rise right now has been stabilized, according to city officials. Crews worked overnight to shore up the building, install struts to bear the weight, according to Eyewitness News, ABC 7. And they were able to provide the support needed that was causing the columns to buckle. Just before noon today, temporary shoring and beams had been installed from floors 18 through 23. Keep in mind the building and surrounding buildings had been evacuated. And then shoring on floors 17 to 24 are in progress, and crews are working throughout the day to get to all floors. The incident unfolded when this was the former Pfizer headquarters. Even though the full Pfizer headquarter building was built in the 1960s, I believe one of the bases or one of the attaching buildings was built in 1905. So 1960 is still a relatively new building, but you know the weight and things are different, and sometimes with decades and decades of use, there could be some changes. So, we're looking at 60 plus years. A 60-year-old building shouldn't be, but if its base, was built in 1905, and we're going to get more information on what exactly happened, but at least the building is not at risk of falling. It's a beautiful building from the outside, but from the inside, it's a whole nother story. So as you remember, the incident unfolded when workers inside the building, which is now being converted to residential housing, discovered buckled columns and bending steel box beams. And then there was, I guess, some floor crumbling. This was on the building's 21st floor. Emergency crews rushed to the scene amid concerns that the structure could collapse at any minute. And Department of Buildings said today that the building is stable. Crews continue reinforcing the damage supports, investigating what caused the structural issues. So according to the commissioner, Ahmed Tagani, right now we have been in a consistent and stable and safe situation. We have been able to bring in a plan and materials that stabilize the impact. 9 nearby buildings were evacuated yesterday. Surrounding streets shut down. Engineers had to assess the risk, work on a secure site. God forbid things start to fall. The frozen zone had shrunk. Tenants and residents were allowed back inside their evacuated buildings. I'm sure everybody's asking, well, is our building safe? Just like what happened with the Surfside condo in Florida a few years back when that collapsed, and the pool sunk into a sinkhole, and it was just a complete disaster, killing multiple people. I'm sure many people in Florida are like, is my building safe? So, hopefully building inspectors, they got their work cut out for them, because, Manhattan is, it's got thousands, tens of thousands of buildings. But that, I guess get inspected every 5 years, sometimes more, depending. They're really going to have to get on top of that. 42nd and 43rd Streets between 2nd and 3rd Avenues are being closed. Those who live or work at 42nd and 43rd Street and not on one of the buildings is able to access the area. So the developer overseeing the conversion project said that the columns likely buckled under the added weight of newly expanded upper floors. The company said part of the floor sagged by about 4 inches, but maintained that the building was never in danger of collapsing. The weight of things, as we spoke about with that parking structure that collapsed a few years back, that was built in the 1940s. Things are heavier now. People are heavier. Furniture is heavier. Cars are heavier. And if these buildings were built to different specifications and different codes, and not allowing for, well, we're going to bring in this, we're going to bring in this, we're going to this. So thank God we haven't seen any disaster happen, and hopefully this is an alert and the silver lining to remind everybody that they need to get their act together and make sure they're inspecting these buildings more diligently. Also making headlines is this Tennessee railway conductor who got fired for his quirky comment on Independence Day. So the conductor on Tennessee's Incline Railway got fired because it was, I believe, Independence Day. And he wished American passengers a happy Independence Day because it was July 4th. It's a 131-year-old attraction up to Lookout Mountain in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And he said to the very, very few Americans in here, happy Independence Day. But then he said to the rest of you, welcome to the greatest country on the face of the planet. And if you disagree, you could leave. Now, I'm sure some people laughed. Some people are like, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. I mean, I've gone to places, I've gone to other countries where like, this is the most beautiful thing in the world. This is the best thing in the world, whatever. But apparently there were some people that got really, really insulted. One man demanded that the conductor shut up, and the conductor ends up getting fired. Passenger Nathan Scherer, who was on vacation with his family, posted the clip on social media. He hashtagged racism and xenophobia. And the part-time worker ends up getting fired. Was it the smartest thing he could have said, telling people to leave? No, that was, and if he was doing it as a joke, hey, if you don't like my opinion, get out. I've said things like that as a joke. If he really meant it, yeah, people might be insulted. Maybe they thought he really meant it. Maybe he didn't say it jokingly. But things have really, really gotten touchy when it pertains to us showing pride. Was it Sonny Hostin who said that the American flag is a sign of racism? I didn't watch The View, but because I don't watch, The View, but she said she felt unsafe if she was in a neighborhood that had American flag. Now, I was just on the military base in Anchorage. I was on a military base in Eglin on the Florida Panhandle. There's American flags because people are proud of their. You're telling me you feel unsafe around veterans, around our military? Sonny Hostin is in a neighborhood that has lots of American flags, and she feels uncomfortable. I was in Switzerland twice, and the little cities I was in, well, one was Zurich and one was a small border town. Swiss flags everywhere. You're in Germany. German flags everywhere. In Israel, you don't see a lot of Israeli flags in Tel Aviv, but you see them a lot in Jerusalem. That's what countries do. They show pride in their country. And to hear that, it's, I understand that it might not be politically correct to say I'm American and America is the best country in the world. People, maybe nowadays you have to be so woke and saying, America is one of how many hundreds of countries, and we all are equal and we all are wonderful. I don't know what the politically correct way to do it is, but to have patriotism and be proud that you're American and grateful that you're American should not be politically correct. And I think, they especially the ultra libs want to turn the American flag into something that is bad and evil. At the Democratic National Convention, there were American flags everywhere. It was beautiful. Democrats, when they were, I think they were nominating Biden at the time, but there were American flags everywhere because I think that the moderate Democrat is like, we're not going to give up the American flag. We're not going to let the Republicans have a monopoly on the American flag. All right. We're patriotic too. We love America too. But here we are with the 250th. And I think it, for those of us who are American and patriotic Americans, I think it really, really hurts when you hear people throw, poop on our country, on the flag, on fireworks, on celebrating. We're trying to unify. I was probably watching the fireworks among hundreds of people. And everybody's wearing red, white, and blue. Some people had green hair. Some people, had military hats. Some people had, but we all felt like one. It was really, really cool. Nobody was there, going, oh, this sucks and America sucks and heck with Trump or pro-Trump or whatever. It was all like, we're watching the fireworks. This is America. It's a beautiful thing. We're free. We're able to, have our hair the way we want to, dress the way we want to. It's a beautiful thing. So, I mean, if Sonny Hostin really feels uncomfortable being, among American flags, then maybe go to a place where you feel safer, like Saudi Arabia or Gaza or Nigeria. I don't know. Egypt, Japan, just because, you won't see a lot of American flags there then. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com.
Hot Shot Secret. Powered by science.
We are back on the Dr. Dolly Show. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So, some of you have been very, very frustrated with your doctor. They refer you to a specialist. They won't give you a medication you want. Many doctors are now telling you, I don't do this. I don't do this. I don't manage this. I started to see that. I was trained as a doctor. I was trained where, especially if you're family medicine, you tackle anything and everything. And it wasn't until, a few years into my practice when I'm like, I don't think I have enough training to manage seizures and I really want to refer to a neurologist and have them co-manage. But it was very interesting because there were some neurologists in my town that wouldn't take seizure patients. And they said, you do it. And I'm like, why wouldn't you? You're a neurologist. Well, because they didn't want to deal with the driver's licenses and the taking people's driver's license away. And they just didn't want to manage seizures. I thought, well, if you're a neurologist, you manage anything neuro. But many neurologists decide to subspecialize in headaches or in Parkinson's and so there's not a lot of simple lines, simple boundaries. You would think it was pretty simple. I'm supposed to know a little of everything and a lot of some and be able to identify what needs to be done, manage as good as I can until a specialist can take over. Or emergent care can take over. And being that I've had ER experience and urgent care experience, I have more of a forte in emergency care. But not all doctors do. Some doctors are much more pediatric focused or neurological focused or insulin and diabetes focused, which happens. But the lawsuits keep happening. So I read about 2 different lawsuits. One was there was a child who had constipation. And so they were, treated for constipation and told to do X, Y, and Z. And I don't really have a lot of details on when the patient finally saw a gastroenterologist. But his child did have imaging. They did some tests, but I don't think the child was referred to a gastroenterologist soon enough. So by the time the gastroenterologist investigated, the child had a mass. This mass, this tumor, was so bad that it already metastasized and the child died. And this was a few years after his initial constipation diagnosis. Now, I don't want to scare everybody that constipation means cancer. But if you have chronic constipation and your doctor says, I want you to go to a GI doctor, that might be why, because they want to make sure they are ruling out a mass. Constipation can happen because of your diet. Maybe you're eating too much cheese. Maybe you're sitting too much. Maybe you're not drinking enough water. Maybe you're not exercising, and you're not having good bowel habits where you're setting some time aside each day to try to go potty. Maybe stand-up desks can help you poop. Things like that. I mean, constipation, there's a lot of reasons for it. But somebody needs to ensure that there's not something else going on that needs to be taken care of or addressed. There was another case I'm reading about right now where a jury awarded $40 million to a patient because he was 37 years old and his blood pressure was 190 over 102. He's only 37. And boy, am I seeing high blood pressure high in a lot of younger people. But in this particular case, the blood pressure was 190 over 102, and he was not given any antihypertensive medication or blood pressure medication. He later gets a basilar ganglia hemorrhage. So he pops a blood vessel and he has a hemorrhagic stroke. The plaintiff attorneys argue that he had cough, and with the hypertension and the cough, he might have had heart failure, and that they should have, with this blood pressure, noticed that something was wrong. There was conflicting entries in the notes between the physicians and the medical assistant. There wasn't another blood pressure recheck plan, no precautions, and apparently the defense couldn't defend themselves, and they ended up, losing a $40 million case. So for those of you that have elevated blood pressure, if you're calling in a telemedicine company, or if you're seeing a family doc, and they're like, look, you have hypertension and severe hypertension. We want to make sure you have a cardiac evaluation. This is why. And I understand things get expensive. One of the reasons why we have Obamacare is because of the doctors of my generation. It's our fault we have Obamacare. And I'm really, really sorry. I'm really, really sorry. Truly. Because what ended up happening is doctors were getting sued left and right in the 90s. And early 2000s for missing things. We had a patient that had severe back pain, and we sent them to the ER, and the ER didn't really do much. Then the patient started to have some weakness on one side. We sent them back to the ER. The reason why the patient had back pain is they had a bleed in the brain. They had no headache, but they had pain in the back. So they actually had a hemorrhagic stroke. Now, we didn't get sued because we were the ones that sent them to ER. We were like, something's wrong. And I'm not saying every back pain is a stroke, but I have seen so many weird cases that I'm not going to say your back pain is because you brought in groceries. I'm going to rule out anything more serious first. I'm not going to run a bunch of tests, but I'm at least going to do a thorough physical exam or make sure you have an evaluation. And I'm seeing this time and time again. Patients are calling up telemedicine saying, treat me for my ulcer. Give me antibiotics. And I'm like, what? How big is your ulcer? How bad is it bleeding? Oh, I just know I have one. A doctor gave me antibiotics online 6 months ago, so I want more antibiotics. Well, antibiotics can treat H. pylori, which is a bacteria that could cause ulcers. But has anybody looked at is this an ulcer? Are you bleeding? Are you going to have a serious GI bleed from this? Is it not an ulcer? Is it a tumor? Is it your pancreas? Is it what really frightens me is pancreatic cancer. By the time we find pancreatic cancer is usually already metastasized. Why? Because the average person with pancreatic cancer gets diagnosed or assumes it's heartburn. So they take Tums or Rolaids or omeprazole over the counter. And nobody's going, this pain you're pointing to is in the area of the pancreas. Has anybody looked at the pancreas? See, how I was taught is if there's an issue with an organ, image it. Ultrasound, look at it. If you're getting frequent bladder infections, ultrasound the bladder, ultrasound the kidneys. If you're getting kidney stones, image the kidneys. If you're getting abdominal pain, ultrasound the abdomen. There's no radiation. If you're having abdominal pain, we could at least, pick up some things with ultrasound. And then if it doesn't go away, we could even do more. If you're having chronic issues with your stomach and colon, get a scope. We have these tests. Why? Because unfortunately, there's bad pathology out there. And the average person calling telemedicine is not getting their blood pressure checked. How many 37-year-olds are out there with a blood pressure of almost 200 systolic? That's stroke range. Now, was he doing stimulants? Was he doing, I don't know. But high blood pressure could put you at risk for a stroke. Not only a hemorrhagic stroke, but a more common ischemic stroke. We need to be doing a better job. So patients are getting frustrated because when a doctor says, look, you're having heartburn. I don't know if it's your heart or not. I want you to go and get checked out. You're having left shoulder pain. That could be your heart. I told you I had a patient who came in with left shoulder pain. I did an EKG. Wasn't really excited about his cardiac risk factors. Sent him to the cardiologist. The cardiologist did a stress test and said he was fine. So I sent him to the orthopedist for his left shoulder pain. The orthopedist says there's nothing wrong with his shoulder. I MRI'd him. Send him back to the heart doctor. So I sent him back to the heart doctor, and I said, the orthopedist said it's not there. What's going on? It turned out they did an angiogram, and he had a dental floss thin lumen. Very narrow. He was about to have a heart attack. And thank God we sent him back to the cardiologist to be more thorough. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, don't go away.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799 and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
And we're back on the Dr. Dolly Show, 1-877-Doc-Dolly, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So I had to get gas the other day, and there's a whole bunch of Circle Ks out there now. I remember Circle K when I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, and we're seeing a lot of Circle Ks in my area. They all just are springing up all of a sudden, and their gas is cheaper than Chevron gas. Well, I have Chevron points and miles. In fact, if I go grocery shopping at Albertsons, I get sometimes 25 cents off a gallon or 50 cents off. One time I got 85 cents off a gallon because of the points I got from doing grocery shopping at Albertsons. So Yeah, there's a Costco, and I do have a Costco card, and Costco is cheaper, but the lines are too long and it's out of the way, so it's easier for me to whatever. But when I look at my phone, my battery is getting used up before I go to bed every day because I have so many apps and so many coupon codes and so many, like McDonald's and Wendy's. I don't like to go to fast food. But yeah, you could get free food if you use their apps. And there's a lot of influencers out there that teach you how to take advantage, of the points and of the apps. So I want to give you some of my tips. One question I got from a listener is, are those lounges worth it? Are those American Express or Chase Sapphire lounge cards, or credit cards worth it? I think like American Express, it's almost $900 a year. I don't like spending money for credit cards. I mean, I'm already, I'm using your credit card. I actually have to pay to use your credit card, but the catch is if you actually do it right, if you do your research and you use the credit card correctly, you get the money back. And so, you get, like, let's say you're trying to do your TSA PreCheck or your Clear. You don't have to pay for that. Your HBO Max or your, if you go out to dinner and you use the credit card. So the discounts and stuff, it actually allows you to get the money back. But you got to be careful. The airport lounges are nice. If you travel a lot, I travel a lot. It's nice to be able to wait, eat, work. In fact, it was interesting. I was at an airport where I had about an hour and a half and there was no quiet place for me to work. So to spend $59 to get free lunch and a quiet place to work, actually to me was worth it. And so sometimes you could actually just pay a small amount just to use the lounge, and you don't have to necessarily pay $900 a month or $900 a year for the credit card. But first and foremost, be careful. Tip number one, please be careful with these apps saying you'll make money on the app. Like if you play this game, you'll make money. No, be careful because they'll charge you to play that game and to make money. So I would be really, really careful with that. Be very wary of something where you're trying to save money, but they're making you pay and become a member. I would be concerned about that. Unless, let's say you use Southwest Airlines or United Airlines, and for the near future, you don't see them going under like Spirit, because boy, did a lot of people get screwed with their miles with Spirit Airlines because it went under. Now what do they do with all those miles? But if you think that an airline is going to be strong and they're not going to mess with your points or whatever, and you really see that you're going to get a deal with Companion Pass, things like that, then just do the math. And if you do the math, you might be able to save money. There's some people out there that tell me that what they do is they will buy the cheapest round trip Southwest Airlines ticket to nowhere. They don't even plan on using it just so they could get the points, because the points turn around and then end up being something decent for them later. And I've heard of people saying, you know what, if the lounge has good food and unlimited alcohol for 3 hours, buy a cheap plane ticket, use the lounge, and then you eat for free. Yes, there's ways to do it, but it takes a lot of work. To me, if you have all that time, you might as well work at a job. But it's doable. So one is do your research and don't spend money if you don't have to. Look more for the free opportunities with apps and coupon codes and all that. Number two is figure out and research when the specials are going to be. There's a lot of times where people will get a card, and then a month or two later, there's all these discounts and perks because they're trying to get people to get the card or get or use their or whatever. And you're like, I wish I would have known that a month or two ago. So one trick that some people told me is like your companion credit card or your companion pass. If you refer somebody, you might get some good discounts. Or if that person is able to get a newer set of deals because they had waited, then you wait for your card to expire, have your spouse get the deal, and then get on their card. And then, so there's ways to do it legally and legitimately, but you got to do your research and you got to review it. If you, the big problem I have is I'm a creature of habit. I go to the same gas station. I go to the same grocery store. Sometimes I'll stop into the grocery store, but for me, I like to save time. So if I know what I want, where I want, how it works, well, if you're a creature of habit, you might as well sign up for the points. You know, I'm like, well, there's Circle K gas, and there's a Circle K near where I am, and I could fill up, and I could, so sign up for the points and the rewards. You might as well. In terms of spending money to get something, be very, very careful, because remember, these companies aren't doing this out of the goodness of their heart. So they might say, look, if you buy, like Amazon does this all the time, where I need to buy laundry detergent. And they say, I'll save 5% on 4 items. So I'm like, wow. Okay, well, let me look and buy 3 more items. And then you look at the items, they go, well, I could use more bags, and I could use another hair scrunchie. And you're talking yourself into spending. And for that 5%, you end up spending another $40-$50. Don't be doing that. Buying in bulk helps. I really do like the Sam's Club, Costco. I understand you got to pay for a membership, but do your research. If the milk is cheaper, if the food is cheaper, those roasted chickens for $5, they're like $7.99, $8.99 at Albertsons, and they're half the meat. So if you're like, I want to be able to feed a family with a roasted chicken for $5, you're getting money back. And so, especially like with gas and all that. So I really do think, and if Trump does end up connecting health insurance to Costco or Sam's Club, so you don't have to rely on your employer, and Costco and Sam's Club are able to get you cheaper health insurance, it might be worth it. So I would definitely look at those. The free shipping is huge, but you got to check that. So I have 2 different Amazon accounts, one where it's our Prime and one is just normal. The Prime, the prices are higher, I'm noticing, because it gives you the free shipping. But the prices are cheaper on the other one that's not Prime. So, do your research. I've always said, for Christmas shopping, don't buy Christmas presents during Christmas shopping season. Buy your Christmas presents like now in the summer. If there's something you think that everybody's going to want, if there's an iPhone deal or you might want to jump on that now and then package it up. But the reason why people don't do it is because of the warranty. Like, well, I only have 30 days and I want to be able to catch it with the warranty. Well, is it worth the money you're saving? Another thing is to celebrate Christmas in July then. Say, all right, guys, you know what? I was able to get the iPhone you wanted. It was cheaper now. So here's your Christmas present. Trust me, they'll be happy. They'll be very, very happy. Christmas in July is fun. There was another tip I wanted to give you guys that I can't believe it just slipped my mind when it comes to saving money and the tips and the points and the coupons. So I'm sorry, it stinks, but I was just thinking about, I don't know, it slipped my mind, which is a problem. But do your research. Don't spend stuff that you don't have to spend. Understand that there's a lot of deals. There's a lot of opportunities out there, and then do your homework. In terms of lounge access, if you travel a lot, it's good. But if you're not going to be, don't spend money just to get some freebies, because you're going to spend more than you started with. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away. Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Lisa Wolf here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you. And be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.